What if a simple act of kindness, a teen helping an elderly man cross a busy street, unleashed a chain of events so unexpected that hours later, police were knocking on his door with a revelation that would change his life forever? This isn't just a story of good deeds. It's a thrilling tale of hidden identities, unexpected gratitude, and the mysterious ways kindness can ripple through a community. In a world where people often pass by without a second glance, what happens when a teenager's compassion uncovers a secret tied to wealth and legacy? Get ready to be hooked, because this true story, from June 2nd, 2025, at 3:15 p.m. +7, in a bustling town square, will keep you on the edge of your seat and warm your heart. Let's step into that fateful afternoon and unravel the mystery that began with a single helping hand. It was a crisp afternoon in Maplewood Town, the sun casting long shadows across the town square as the clock struck 3:15 p.m. +7 on Monday, June 2nd, 2025. The streets hummed with the usual weekday bustle, shoppers carrying bags, cars honking, and children laughing as they left school. Among the crowd was 17-year-old Ethan Nguyen, a high school junior with a reputation for his quiet kindness. Ethan, dressed in his school uniform with a backpack slung over one shoulder, was heading home when he noticed an elderly man struggling at the edge of the crosswalk. The man, hunched over with a cane, wore a worn-out coat and squinted at the traffic, his frail frame trembling as cars whizzed by. Ethan's heart tugged. He remembered his own grandfather, who had passed away 2 years ago, and without hesitation, he jogged over. "Sir, let me help you," Ethan said, offering his arm with a warm smile. The elderly man, later identified as Mr. Harold Whitaker, looked up with watery eyes and nodded gratefully. "Thank you, son," he rasped, his voice weak but kind. Ethan guided him across the street, shielding him from the flow of pedestrians and holding his cane steady. The crossing took a few minutes, with Ethan patiently matching the old man's slow steps, chatting lightly about the weather to ease the tension. "You're a good kid," Harold said as they reached the other side, patting Ethan's hand. Ethan blushed, shrugging it off. "Just doing what anyone would," he replied, waving goodbye before heading home, unaware of the chain reaction he'd set in motion. Unbeknownst to Ethan, Harold wasn't just any elderly man, a retired businessman who had built a modest fortune in real estate decades ago. Harold had chosen to live simply after his wife's death, often wandering the town to avoid the loneliness of his empty mansion. That day, he'd been carrying a small notebook in his pocket, a habit from his business days, where he jotted down thoughts and observations. After Ethan helped him, Harold wrote, "Met a kind boy today, Ethan Nguyen. Reminds me of my grandson. Worth remembering." He then made his way home, his mind buzzing with gratitude. By 5 p.m. +7, Harold called his longtime friend and lawyer, Mr. Daniel Pierce, and shared the story, asking for Ethan's details to be looked up. Daniel, intrigued, used his connections to find Ethan's address through the school registry, a task completed by 6:30 p.m. Meanwhile, Ethan arrived home, a modest apartment where he lived with his single mother, who worked night shifts as a nurse. He tossed his backpack on the couch, grabbed a snack, and started his homework, oblivious to the attention he'd attracted. At 7:45 p.m. +7, a sharp knock jolted him from his math problems. He opened the door to find 2 police officers, their uniforms crisp under the porch light, accompanied by a distinguished man in a suit. Daniel Pierce. Ethan's stomach dropped. "Are you Ethan Nguyen?" one officer asked. Ethan nodded, his voice shaky. "Yes, sir." "Did I do something wrong?" The officer smiled reassuringly. "No, son. We're here with good news. Mr. Pierce has something for you." Daniel stepped forward, explaining that Harold Whitaker, the man Ethan helped, had been deeply moved by his kindness. "Mr. Whitaker wants to thank you properly," Daniel said, handing Ethan a sealed envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter from Harold. "Dear Ethan, your help today reminded me of the goodness in the world. I'd like to offer you a scholarship to any college of your choice, funded by a trust I've set up, worth $50,000. Please visit me tomorrow." Attached was a check and Harold's address. Ethan's jaw dropped, his hands trembling as he read. The officers chuckled at his stunned expression, adding, "You've made quite an impression, kid." The next morning, June 3rd, 2025, at 10 a.m. plus 7, Ethan, accompanied by his mother, visited Harold's mansion, a sprawling estate with manicured gardens and a grand entrance. Harold greeted them warmly, his eyes twinkling despite his frailty. "I never had children of my own," he confessed over tea. "But your act reminded me of my grandson, who passed young. I want to invest in your future." Ethan, still processing, accepted the scholarship, prompting to study hard. Harold also offered his mother a part-time job, managing his household, which she gratefully took. Starting June 5th, 2025, easing their financial strain. Word of the story leaked when a neighbor spotted the police visit and posted about it online that night, June 2nd, 2025, at 9 p.m. plus 7. The post went viral, gaining 100,000 shares by June 4, 2025. Local news picked it up, airing a segment on June 6, 2025, at 6 p.m. plus 7, titled "Teen's Kindness Unlocks a Fortune." The story inspired a community initiative, Crosswalk Kindness, launched on June 10, 2025, encouraging teens to assist the elderly, with over 200 participants in the first week. Ethan became a local hero, speaking at the launch event, quoting Luke 6:38, "Give, and it will be given to you." Harold and Ethan grew close, with Ethan visiting weekly to help with chores and listen to Harold's stories. By July 2025, Harold added Ethan as a beneficiary in his will, a decision formalized on July 15, 2025, ensuring his legacy continued. Ethan's mother, now stable, enrolled in a nursing course, supported by Harold's generosity. The town transformed, with crosswalk signs featuring Ethan's story, a reminder of how one act of kindness can lead to a lifetime of change. What does this mean for us? Ethan's story echoes Proverbs 22:9. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. His small deed opened doors to abundance, challenging us to act with kindness. Here's a challenge. This week, help someone in need. Cross a street, carry a bag, and share your experience. Let's close with Matthew 5:16. Let your light shine before others. A teen's help led to a knock from police. Let your light spark miracles. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, like, comment, and subscribe. For more powerful real-life stories, turn on the notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. See you in the next video.